What's up, everybody? This is Ricardo Rodriguez.
And Matthew Messick.
And this is
the Profits Over Wages podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Profits Over Wages podcast, where we do weekly interviews with highly successful business owners and entrepreneurs. We discuss life, business, and entrepreneurship to bring forward the lessons learned from success and failure, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. On episode 49 of the podcast, we sit down with Johanna Diaz. She is the CEO and president of CreditRx, a credit consulting company that has helped thousands of people go from bad credit to homeownership in the last few years, and the first credit consulting company to ever be recognized by Top Agent magazine. On this episode, we talk all about CreditRx and credit itself. Johanna goes in depth about the early days of her company and how she made the transition from bank manager to business owner. We also talk about the best ways to establish credit, how to avoid damaging your credit even when going through a hardship, tips on how to improve your credit, and how her company has been able to help thousands of people in the last few years, and much, much more. Enjoy the show. I think we've been friends on Facebook for a while, but we hadn't actually talked. Mm-hmm. And I only met you because you actually met with one of our agents here at the office.
Otherwise,
I ended up sitting in you guys' meeting, and I really like what you were talking about and like your products and stuff with CreditRx.
Thank you.
Actually, shout out to Mauricio for making the introduction. And but I wanted to meet with you and kind of hear the story behind CreditRx and kind of get to know you a little bit better, because like I said, I found very interesting what you guys do, and it's a lot different from other credit companies that I've spoken to and I've dealt with in the past. So I guess for those people who are not familiar with who you are, if you can kind of just tell us who you are and what you do. Sure. And then we'll get into your story after that.
Sure. So I'm Johanna Diaz, and I am the CEO and president of CreditRx. It was a company that was opened January 2015. I was in banking. I was telling Matt, I was in banking for 6 years. And it's one of those things where you really want to help people, but you don't have the tools to do so. So people come to the bank and they are always wanting to purchase a house or just get a regular credit card or buy a car. And once you let them know that they can because of credit, you really don't have the tools. You just kind of have to send them back and say, well, go fix it. And, when you're fixed up, come back and see me. But, they walk out and they don't know what to do. And so that was one of the things that I always thought, like, man, it'll be really nice to like give a person an opportunity to really, give them the tools. So I don't know if you want me to go into. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Actually, let's kind of go back to the early days of CreditRx.
Sure.
So you worked for what bank did you work?
Bank of America. I was at Bank of America for 6 years.
Okay. And once you get the idea to kind of start working in people's credit and helping people out, how did that process go? Because there's always like a big thing, right? Sure, most people want to start a business, but it's making that transition from full-time job to a business ownership that sometimes can be very hard, and there's a lot of logistics that obviously go with it, depending on whether you have kids or not, or you're married, and there's a lot of different factors. But how did that transition go for you?
So just to go back a little bit on how it was actually opened, 2013, my husband and I wanted to buy a property, and he's a veteran. So when he came back from the Marines, his credit was shattered, and we didn't know. So when we tried to buy the property, he had bad credit. So that's where I started. I started kind of, making some decisions in his credit, trying to fix it as many consumers do. And then what I did was absolutely the opposite. I made it worse. So what I did is I took it as my assignment. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn the whole thing about credit and see exactly what I need to do to fix his credit. And in 6 months, it was fixed. So then we bought the property, and that's when the light bulb went off. I'm like, man, if I can do this for other people, not only that I will have a great business model, but I will also be able to help a lot of people be able to get into homes. Mm-hmm. So going back to your question, going from a full-time job, I was a bank manager when I left Bank of America. And it was great. I learned a lot of things. I actually apply a lot of the things that I do in my business as far as training and service development and stuff like that. Like all those things, I take it from there. because I was able to be a manager. So I was able to, manage 12 associates and blah, blah, blah. So that I take a lot from that. So I'm grateful that that happened in my life. But I needed a change. I needed to just do my thing, do my own thing. And it was hard. It was really hard. But I think going back to what you were saying, whether you have kids, well, I don't have kids. So it's just my husband and myself. And I have 100%, 200% support from my husband. So I think that's very important when you want to start a business. You want to have, system. Yeah, totally. You want to have a support, not only just the person, but, money too.
Well, yeah. So you just quit cold turkey and then just started the business.
Yeah. So January 2015, I was still doing it kind of part-time. I was just doing more like educational credit services. So I would go to different churches, different not-for-profit organizations, and I would just kind of like talk about it. But people started really like, well, help me. Like, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a car. Like, what do I have to do? And so I told my husband by May 2015, I told my husband, I think we have something. Like, I think we can do something really good with this credit thing. And at that time, he was a barber. He was a barber for 12 years. When he came back from the Marines, he went straight to a barber shop. So I told him, I said, look, we don't have kids. You have a good job. We barely have any expenses. So like, this is the time like for us to do something. And he's like, go for it.
Do it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's funny because we had 3 bedrooms in our house, and the back bedroom was empty. Well, it was a bunch of stuff in there.
Just storage.
But, yeah, storage. So he took everything out of there. He painted the room. We bought a little desk. We made it look like a little office. Yeah. And that's where I started. Like, I was just grinding like from 6 o'clock in the morning to like the time where he just like, all right, girl, you have to go to bed. So it was really hard. Sometimes it was very discouraging because a lot of doors will shut in your face, and but I mean, so what? You just keep going. And
how did you grow the business?
Say that again.
Like, how did you grow the business? Like, what services were you offering once you started?
So at that time, I only had credit cleaning. That was the only thing that we had, and which is rounds of investigation to the credit bureaus disputing items that are not accurate on the credit report. That was the only thing that I had. But because the business started growing so fast, we started listening to what clients were wanting. They were not necessarily people that had bad credit. They just didn't have credit. So we started developing different programs specifically for the client's need. So if they didn't have any credit because they were unrated, or maybe they were ITIN number before and now they're Social Securities, or maybe DACA students, people who didn't have any credit. So we're like, all right, let's develop a program where we can it's not just credit cleaning, it's establishing credit. Or maybe there's
a la carte.
Correct. So or maybe there is a person that, dad and son have the same name. This happens a lot to consumers, David Diaz Sr., David Diaz Jr., and then everything just kind of gets attached to each other. We have a file separation program specifically for that person.
Yeah, I think I was telling you when we met that we know somebody that happened to, and his dad had filed for bankruptcy, and then they have the same name, so
everything
it came up on his score, and all of a sudden his credit was like 100 points less, and it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's like the worst thing you could have as an error.
It's really
20-something years old, and then you have a bankruptcy already.
And it happens all the time. We had a client that had a repo, a foreclosure, a bunch of things. And he's like, that's my father. Like, that has nothing to do with me. And the thing with credit repair companies out there is that they put the client in a bubble. Everyone is in the same bubble, credit repair. And I can see why some companies, because you charge on a monthly basis sometimes. And, the more you charge them, the longer you keep them, the more money you make. But if you really think about the need of the client and really okay, you don't need that, you just need file separation, then you just charge them less, you put them in the right program, and then you detach whatever has to be detached. And
they also tell you it's going to be at least 6 months for you to start seeing some changes. So you got to pay us the $150 a month for the next 6 months, and then you might start seeing some stuff come up.
And then after 6 months, you're like, okay, I want to quit now. They're like, no, we still need more time.
No, I'll give you a discount.
Another 6 months.
Yeah, that's the thing. So many companies are doing, have been doing that for so many years. And we're heavily regulated, actually. They're really not, too many. We're heavily regulated, but they're not like regulations where like, oh, you cannot do, you can't have the client for 6 months or anything like that. You actually start seeing the results in the first 30 to 45 days, because since you're disputing items, you're getting results in the mail and in the first 30 to 45 days when the cycle closes. So you should be looking at like results in the first 30 to 45 days. It doesn't mean that, your credit score goes from 400 to 700 in 45 days, but, it means that you are seeing some results happening on your credit report.
Yeah. At what point did you decide to start hiring people? How many people do you have now?
So it's 6 of us.
And then you have 2 offices, right?
2 offices, yeah.
Where are they at?
So the main office is in Chicago. It's on Cicero and Belmont, 3209 North Cicero.
That's like a Belmont Cragen?
Yes.
It's like right here.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. And then the second location, which we just opened on the 1st of December, is in Aurora. It's on 31 West Downers Place.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. It's a very small office, but, that's what we need.
Yeah. Are you mostly going after the Hispanic population?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a diverse, nice group of clients, but I would say about 75% of our clientele is Hispanic.
Would you say that their credit is in more repair or need to build credit than, other demographics?
I think so. I think that lack of understanding,
Maybe
lack of education. Yeah.
Because this is really, my parents didn't tell me
my parents
anything
either.
about credit or how to do it. Or
they just told me to pay my bills.
Pretty much.
What does that even mean, right? So, yeah, I think
whether you pay them on time or not.
Right.
Just pay them.
Well, on time. But my parents were always like, when you die, you don't take anything with you. And it's like, what? What do you mean? Like, you're supposed to build the future, for whoever you want to leave it to.
Right,
but,
for the next generation.
Yeah, but I think the Hispanic population, first, it's a wonderful market. It's very loyal. And it's very grateful. Like, when you help someone, they really they bring their entire family and, everybody. They're very, very loyal clientele. And then they really need help. Like, we all need help, Like, we want to be able to get people out of renting and, don't buy a single home. Buy a multi-level property. Do smart investments. Don't just stay there. Matter of fact, tomorrow, one of the guys that went through our program, 20 years old, he's closing in his first little home
Nice.
in Waukegan.
And then you helped him out establish credit. I mean,
Yes.
he's so young, his credit is not bad. He just doesn't have it.
He had a couple collections, not a big deal. We have a very specific program that's called Special Rounds of Investigation for people that only have couple little things, so that you don't have to put them into a full-blown credit repair program. So we did a little of a special rounds of investigation, and then we did a credit establishment program where we put on about 4 lines of credit on his credit report, and 45 days he was ready to buy. And then tomorrow he's closing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you know that there's companies that actually let you borrow credit, or they put you onto somebody's card as a authorized user?
There are some companies that do top trade lines and stuff like that. They rent out your lines, and you kind of piggyback their history.
So how many different programs do you have?
I about 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
about 20.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's a lot, but not everyone goes through all the programs, obviously, right? And the reason why we have so many programs is because it just depends on the situation.
Everybody's situation is different.
Correct. We had a client that was in the 700s, but he had a tax lien. So how do we release a tax lien so that you can purchase a property? And now the liens, anything that has to do with judgments, they no longer show up on your credit report. It's a new regulation. Before, it used to show up under public filings. It doesn't show up anymore. So now the lenders have to look at the credit report, and then now they have to dig into people's public filings to make sure that they don't have any liens or any judgments. So if someone is in the 700s, it doesn't necessarily mean that he can buy.
Right.
Maybe they have something else under
before
filings.
we go into your other programs that you have, at what point did you decide to hire your first person?
I hire my husband.
That was your first one?
Yeah, that didn't go too well.
No.
Did you fire him?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I let him go.
So is he still barbering, or he works full time in your business?
So May 2015 is when I really I quit Bank of America, and that same day that I quit, the next day I had an event, and I got like 25 prospects, and I was like, oh my God, this is good. So from May through October of 2015 is when I started getting really busy, but I didn't know how to hire. I think as a business owner with such a new, company, and you really don't know exactly what you're doing as far as like hiring and, it's really hard because you don't know, okay, what do I teach these people, that are going to be working for me? How much do I pay them? What's fair? And I made a lot of mistakes. Yeah. A lot of mistakes in the beginning. I, underpaid people. They didn't stay with me. I was a great boss, but,
still gotta get paid.
So, I made a lot of mistakes, and I, finally I kind of got it. I'm like, all right, I gotta pay people more. But my husband was a barber, like I was telling you. And so in October, I told him, I said, you know what? I think that you need to come and help me with the business, just so that I can kind of get it running, and I can see like, okay, what I'm going to assign to you. Like that's what I will be assigning an employee. How much should I pay them or whatever? So, we did really well for maybe about 6 months.
And then he quit.
I let him go. No, I didn't let him go. So I hired my first assistant, and when I hired her, I told my husband, "All right, you can go now.
I don't need you anymore.
She's better than you."
So we noticed that what we were doing is we were fixing credit, then we were sending it to a lender, and then we were just giving it out to a realtor. And my husband always wanted to become a realtor, so he started saying, "Well, why don't I?" just go for the class.
So he got
and
his
I'm
license?
like, yeah. So he got his license, and he's been a realtor for 18 months.
He recruits clients for you?
The other way. I'm the lead generation.
you get them good credit, and then you go, my husband will find you a house.
Take care of them.
Yeah. So it's a couple of things that we do in the office. So we have, people that come from our own partnerships like lenders and realtors. So that's a different pipeline. And then we also do a lot of digital marketing, a lot of outreach. We do a lot of seminars at the churches of Chicago. So we get a lot of clients that come without a lender, without a realtor, have no idea how to buy a house. And so, run the credit is horrible. So we put them in a all program, like home buying consulting program, from bad credit to homeownership all the way.
Go ahead.
What's one of the best ways for somebody who has like no credit at all to like establish credit? Like what are the few things that you in your program that you start them off with?
So we have 3 different programs. One will be giving the client one line of credit, usually a secure credit card. The biggest thing about establishing credit is making sure that you are getting products that are not going to hurt your credit. So in other words, every time that you apply for something, your credit takes a hit. And so, they run your credit, takes a hit, and then you kind of go backwards instead of going forward. So the programs that we have are designed for clients that have no credit or bad credit, so that it doesn't do any hits on the credit report. So secure credit cards, secure savings, lines of credit that do not do any type of hard hits. So I would say just for the regular consumer, I would say secure credit cards are the best way to start. It's healthier. It's a better way. When you have no credit, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how much you're supposed to spend, how are you supposed to pay. So if you start slowly and you work your way up, I think it's healthier.
And for those of our listeners who don't know, a secured credit card is basically like you put down $500 in cash, then you get granted a credit card with a $500 limit.
Yes.
So then if you default on it, they just keep your money.
Right. And then they if you default, it'll be a bad situation in your credit report, because you will look like, so in order for you to default completely and charge off a card, you have to be late for about 90 to 120 days. That means that every 30 days your credit is taking a hit, 30, 60, 90, 120 days. So that's, if consumers out there that are listening to us, if you already know when you are going to go into a hardship, when you lost your job, if you lost someone, if you're going through divorce, like you already know that something is going to be bad in your finances. all credit card companies, car companies, every company has programs that are called hardship. You need to call them and let them know the situation and make sure that they put you on an interest payment only, or maybe give you a break for 3 to 6 months so that they don't damage your credit. You get back on your feet, find a job or whatever the case may be, and then you start paying again. But don't just hide and not say anything. Take advantage of the hardship program so that you don't damage your credit.
I feel like a lot of people do that too. Like the majority, they just
hiding.
I'll just ignore all my problems and hope they go away.
And at the end of the day, it is something that we all go through. When you're going through difficult situations, and obviously financial difficult situations are hard to deal with, and you're just kind of like, you know what, I'm not even gonna deal with it. But it gets worse because now you not only that you didn't pay your bills, now your credit is really bad, and now you're gonna have to spend a lot of money to fix everything. So if you are proactive, then you can call and let them know, hey, listen. So one of the companies that does really good hardship programs is Capital One. So lots of consumers out there that are going through hardship have Capital One credit cards. So Capital One goes down to 0.9% from the interest of like 24%. You can qualify for hardship just by showing that you don't have a job. And then just do that. Same thing with the car payments. If you are proactive from the very beginning, when you buy a car loan and you start paying $50 a month more than the regular payment, you will be ahead of time, 3 to 4 months down the road. So then you can kind of say, you know what, Nissan or Honda or whatever, listen, I'm like ahead of time 3 months. I'm not paying for the next 3 months. That's a huge help. Yeah. It's only $50 a month more.
Are you saying as a business owner who doesn't have a job, I can reach out to Capital One and get a 1% interest year round?
If you, no, you have to have a hardship.
All right, so let's go into depth into your actual programs, because I know we can't show them,
yes.
like you showed us the other day. But if you can kind of just like talk about all the different things that you have.
So we talked about credit cleaning, okay, which is just disputing inaccurate items on your credit report. We talked about credit establishment, which is someone who has no credit or bad credit and no lines open. We talked about file separation or detachment, when someone has the same name, dad and son, or mom and daughter. And we didn't talk about settlements. So we had a really nice situation where a client had a repo, a car repo, and he owed $8,900. He was bought by a collection company, and he was at the collection company for about 4 years old. Like we got a really nice deal.
Is it 7 years or something like that?
Usually about 5 to 7. Some other bills or collections have a shorter amount of statute of limitation. That's what it's called. Just for the people who don't know out there, statute of limitation is just the time that a consumer can be dinged by a collection company or a credit card company. So if let's say Chase, when you default on your Chase credit card, they usually only go against you for the first 5 years. After 5 years, they're not going to go against you anymore, meaning they don't want your money anymore, but they won't take it out of your credit report. So in other words, you're just going to have to settle regardless, unless you could just wipe it out because it's inaccurate. But the medical bills have a different statute of limitation. Utility bills have different statute of limitation. So the settlements, we get really good at it because we do really research the item. So if we know that it has been bought by different companies, different collections, then we can kind of negotiate a little better. So the $8,900 repo that he had, we went down to $1,500.
Oh, damn.
It's amazing. Wow. And then we were able to just pay for deletion, delete it from the credit report. We do not want to see it anymore. So it's like never happened. So it was pretty good. So that's settlement. So we do debt settlements, judgment releases, tax lien releases. Let's talk about student loans.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That seems like it's a giant bubble right now.
Yes. So there are 3 types of student loans. So, 3 scenarios of student loans. So the first student loan is the one that is in good standing. Okay. It doesn't have any problems, but the person is paying too much. So let me give you an example. I was a bank manager, right? And I had a budget in place with Department of Education. So when I was a bank manager, I was making good money, right? So they base it on my budget. So I had a $436 payment a month, right? Now I get out of banking and I go and open my own business, or let's just say just a regular consumer went from one job to the other, maybe making less. But the problem is that people do not update their budget. So they continue to pay $436 a month because they never updated it. So what we do is we update the budgets depending on where they're at, the client is at, so that we can get them a lower payment, amortized, but lower, so that it's easier for them to make a payment. So that's one of the situations that we can help. You could call it student loan restructuring, or student loan consolidation, or something like that. The second one is the one that's good and it's just defaulting. So we could bring it up to good standing. And then the third one is the one that's so defaulted that it went all the way to collections. So that one we can kind of get back in good terms and put him back in good standing.
Do you at that point get in good with the collection agency, or do you get in good with the...
If it's in collection, it's a collection agency. Collection agencies are owned by the Department of Education.
Oh.
These are not external.
I've heard
Of course they are.
There's those programs where they claim okay, we can get rid of all your student loans, or they're...
That's like if the school was shut down or something.
Forgiveness? You're talking about forgiveness?
Is that
programs?
real, or is that...
It is.
It's like Everest or ITT Tech.
So those
How
are
does
the
that work?
ones that go out of business. There are a lot of companies or universities or colleges that were open at some point and now they're shut down, and the credits that people got from them won't even work anymore. So now we have this pile of clients that went to ITT, right? Everest, the colleges that have already shut down, and they have these huge loans and the credits don't even work to be transferred somewhere else.
Yeah.
So now the Department of Education is helping these people either restructure it, settle it, or maybe even forgive it completely. Now the forgiveness that you're saying is more like... there are programs that you can be put into a 10-year payment, and after 10 years, you could be forgiven. Some cases, not all of them. The majority are more like first responders or, people that are like in service careers, like nurses.
If you work for the state, I think they do that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought I heard something where if you didn't pay for 16 years, then they forgive it. Is that a thing?
You wish. Is that you?
No, I don't think student loans really never really go away.
No, not even bankruptcy. I heard a client. I don't even know if I should say this here. Maybe I
don't
don't
have to say his name.
We can say everything.
No, it's just really bad. So they got a loan. They paid off their student loans and then they went bankrupt.
Wait, what?
They probably went bankrupt because they were paying all the
shady.
student loans and they didn't have any money left.
No, they just got the money to pay the student loans off, and they went, they filed for bankruptcy for that particular loan. So now they don't have student loans or debt.
Nice.
That's not nice. Don't do that.
It's efficient.
That's pretty shady. I was
so-
like, wow.
So we met because you're actually hosting a buyer seminar with one of our agents here at the office.
Yes.
Do you do these pretty often?
I do. I actually have one tonight.
What do you guys do at them?
I didn't get an invite.
Oh, you want to go? 6 p.m.
No, I'm busy.
Okay. I know you were going to say that.
Where's it at?
So it's going to be 6111 West Addison. It's a small
I did get an invite for that. Never mind.
realty
that.
company. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we try to bring education to the communities, right? So, and I know it sounds cliche because everybody's doing that, but it's really nice because we have like the entire home buying process, and everyone that is in that process will be there.
Yeah.
So we have like, let's say first me, right? Credit consultant. We want to know how your credit is. After your credit is good, let me introduce you to a lender. The lender is going to be there talking about, down payment assistance programs, or maybe just programs for not down payment, but just regular programs. Then after that, you go to the realtor, and the realtor takes you out. They tell you what to expect, what not to expect. And then, an inspector, a lawyer, right? And then the insurance agent. So all the pieces that are, needed for a person to purchase a house, like those people will be there.
I think it's great. I mean, most people who've never bought a house have no idea of all the things that you have to go through to just purchase a home if you've never gone through it.
We get so many reviews, like right after our seminars, people are looking at us like, wow, like there were so many things that we learned today. Like we are so appreciative. So we, sometimes people, so what we do is we put it for like a month, just kind of like marketing and stuff like that. And the majority of the time, maybe half of the people that say they're going to go. But in all honesty, I really don't care about the numbers. What I care about the people that really made it there. Like we have had like snowstorms and people still show up. Those are the people that are going to be committed and they want to buy.
Right.
The majority of the time, I would say people that come to these seminars, about 50 to 60% of them have bad credit. So we capture them right away. We're like, come on, let's fix this first, and then we'll put you through the pipeline.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you run their credit on the spot, or how do you guys help them out?
So we tried to do that before, but with credit, people want to be more like private.
Well,
they don't want to be there like, really talk to me about my repo, So yeah, so
I have a 550. Let's talk about that.
Some people,
498.
Some people don't really care. The lowest I've seen is 356.
Oh, it goes that low?
356. Like you really have to try hard to be 356.
What did they have on their report?
Usually a lot of stuff and no accounts open. Like a lot of charge of accounts, a lot of not even bankruptcy clients have 356.
Yeah, that's gonna be like student loans, repo,
yeah, it's like charge of
cards.
accounts, a lot of collections, like medical collections really drop your credit score like dramatically. Even though lenders don't care about medical bills anymore.
Oh yeah.
They don't, you could have medical bills on $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, and they don't look at those anymore. They're looking at other like utilities, phone bills, and stuff like that. They do look at those.
Okay, what are some of the things that somebody can do to kind of bring up their credit pretty fast?
Very good.
Just like maybe you're like at 620 and you need to get to like 680 or 700 to apply for a loan. Just little things.
Two things. The first one is your credit card utilization. That's the very first one. That is the one that's going to get you from, a 620 to, like you said, a 640, 660, even sometimes to 700s. So what people have to do is they have to sit down. They have to take all their credit cards, put them in a row, right? Like just in front of you, and look at what the credit limit is and what is the utilization. How much money am I spending? If it's over 30%, you're losing points. Each individual card, not all together, right? So if I have an American Express,
so it could be at 500. It could be at like 250 and still 50%.
Only 30%. 30% usage is the magic number. So if you have $1,000 credit limit, you're not supposed to go over $300. That's it. And so if you keep them lower than 30%, 25% will be even better. But 30% or below, you will be able to start getting, cramping up to those numbers.
So even if you had like 5 cards that all had $10,000 limits that were all at zero balances, but you had one that was like $1,000 limit with a $500 balance,
it gets your points down. Yeah. That's why you have to, I always tell them like each plastic, not the whole thing, but each plastic, like each credit card has to be under 30%. So that's the number one thing for credit score. Because, so remember, in credit, you have the history and you have the score. The history is like, what do you have? But the score is like a whole different thing. So how do you go up on the score? Utilizing your open credit the right way. And when I say open credit, means credit cards. Because if you have car loans, mortgages, those are all long-term debt that is fixed. You pay one amount a month and it doesn't really have that movement up and down as a credit card does. So your credit card is the one that's going to get you the points that you need as long as you utilize it right. So 30% or below. And then the second tip is to know how to pay it. Okay, so when you have, so let's go back to $1,000 credit limit, $300 spending, you always want to leave a balance behind. Always. You don't want to pay them off. You don't want to leave them in zeros.
Like pay them off. It's not good to pay it off every month?
Not all of them. No. You want to always leave a balance, but the balance does not have to be more than a couple bucks.
It could be literally at
It could be
$3.
$1, $2, $3, $5.
So why do you want to leave a balance?
So that the credit reporting agencies can report you faster. So when you owe, the credit reporting companies report you faster because you owe. So they need to, they need to have that update faster. People that do not owe, it kind of like, they don't owe, so it's fine.
They don't even use it.
Now, if you are already in the 700s or 800s or whatever, you could do whatever you want. You could pay it off. You could leave it a little balanced. But if you are in the 600s or like 650s or 620s and you want to move up, that's the way you want to do it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's.
But it was always better to just pay them off every month.
Well, because you don't want to pay interest. But what's interest in a couple dollars?
So
who cares?
Like literally, if you left it at like $1 or $2,
it's beautiful.
There's a big difference in
It's a big
doing
difference
that
in
than
your
zero.
But not if you're over 700.
No, if you're in the 700s, it's fine.
Your question was like if you want to jump up 10 or 20
Right.
points.
No,
Yeah.
just
So no, that's a huge tip.
all right.
It is.
Now,
So utilization and how you pay it back.
now on the flip side, for somebody who's got really bad credit, like we're in the 450s, 500, under 500, like we're hovering around there. I know
Bankruptcy.
I know it differs from situation to situation, but just in general, how would you help somebody out like that?
So the first thing we do is first consultation, which is totally free. So we open up the credit report, 3 credit bureaus, 3 credit scores. We use a free soft pull platform to pull the credit. We do not do hard hits. Usually hard hits are like lenders, car loan places and stuff like that. But we're only viewing the credit report.
Like at creditreportonline.com or
Something like that. So we have a designated platform that we use in our office that will be about 95% accurate to a lending system, score-wise. History is 100% accurate. Score is always going to be up and down because everyone uses the different algorithm. But, if you're buying a house, you want to pay attention to what the lender says. If you're buying a car, you want to pay attention to what the car loan place says. But for us, we pull the credit report, the 3 credit bureaus, 3 credit scores, and then we go over the entire process. So we go the positive, the negative, and then what we have to improve. And then we put a plan together. So for a person like you were explaining earlier, someone that was in the 400s or 500s, those are the most successful clients. Most successful because we are actually able to do wonderful things on their credit. So clients like that might need credit cleaning for sure. And they probably will need some type of credit establishment program. And then maybe a little bit of settlement. So those clients that are listening to us right now, consumers that are listening to us right now that have 400s, 450s, 500s, you will be the most successful in our program because you will see every 45 to 90 days things moving up, and then you get encouraged and you're like, okay, let's do it. Let's
when you're
keep
at the
going.
bottom, the only way up.
You don't have any other way to go, right?
So she can't help you, Ricardo.
You're so bad.
So you actually help them with budgeting as well, right? I think you were explaining it.
Yes. So one of the things about our company and our employees, or I should say our 1099, they're not employees. One of the nice thing about our team is that we're not going to put a client in something that they don't need. So let me explain. We had a couple clients that came from a realtor, and when they sat down with the idea that they were going to repair their credit. So we did the first consultation where we pulled the credit, we created a plan, and then we noticed that they had just made recent late payments on a car loan and a credit card. Recent, 30 days late. So we're like, let me get to the bottom of that because you just were late 30 days ago. So are you going to continue to be late? Is it a budgeting problem? Is it a money problem? What's going on? So I'm not going to sit here and charge you for credit repair, credit establishment, and then take money from you when you need to make your payment on your car loan.
True.
So what we did was we kind of got to the bottom of it, and we're very honest with our clients. We're like, listen, here is all transparency. I need you to tell me if you have a problem with your money. Are you spending? What's going on? And so the client opened up and said, you know what? I'm terrible with my money. I don't even have a budget. I eat a lot, out a lot. I don't even know what comes in, what goes out. And I don't have a savings account. I'm about to have a kid, and I just want to buy a house. So I'm like, all right, you need to slow down. We need to work on your budgeting. You need to show me that you're going to have at least a couple $1,000s saved. And then we'll go through credit repair. So when we did the budgeting, I was like, there's no way that you don't have money to save. Like, both of you are making almost $80,000 a year together, husband and wife. Like, you guys, I need 3 months of bank statements. So they were like, ugh. Now you're going to know where I spend my money. So I said, are you guys committed or not? You guys want a house? You guys want to save up and, have a house for the kid and stuff? Yes. All right. So I need to see 3 months of statement. And they brought him in and I highlighted everything that was wrong with it. When you look at your bank account, you know where your money's going.
Right.
It was all going to food, eating out. And so what I did is, and this is something very good for our clients that are like struggling with their budgeting. When you get paid, okay, you take $100 in cash and you put it in your wallet. And that's the only thing that you're going to spend until you get paid again. You're not going to utilize your debit card. It doesn't have to be $100. It could be a little more. But, what I did with them is I did 200 because I know they were spenders. So I'm like, oh, they're going to do it.
$100 is going to be gone tonight.
So what I told them is I said, okay, once you get paid, every time you get paid, you're going to take $200 in cash from your account and you're going to put it in your wallet and you're going to leave all the debit cards at home, credit cards at home. You're just going to have that money. When it finishes, that's it. You have to wait until you get paid again. And so what happens is that their savings build up so fast that in 3 weeks, they already had the $2,000.
Damn.
So then they're like,
it was all gone.
Oh my God. So of course, after they had the money, I'm like, all right, you can come.
Let's do it.
Let's start the credit. So we started credit repair, credit establishment. We did a little bit of settlement for the wife. And middle of January, they will be ready to buy.
Nice.
It's awesome. Amazing. And then now people are creating these budgeting habits, that they didn't have. A lot of our clients, when they buy, then they call us and they're like, oh my God, Johanna, like now I think about like what's a need and what's a want. And I'm like, okay, don't be all like,
right.
You want to give yourself a little bit of something here and there, but, think about it because you don't want to, it's Hispanic clients are mostly the ones that don't know how to handle
lack of education. Right?
Yeah, information.
Now, all your services are not the same price, right?
No.
Because obviously everything depends on the situation.
Correct. So I can kind of give you like an average, like a range between $300 to $700. That would be a good range to give you. All programs are different. Some clients only have to do one program. Some other clients have to do 2 to 3. But just think about between $300 to $700. It depends on what they need.
And that's like a one-time fee?
One-time fee. The credit cleaning does have a monthly fee of $89, but we keep a very close watch when they're ready to buy. So if they're ready to buy and it's only been 45 days or 90 days, we take them off the program. There's no need for clients to continue on a monthly if you don't have any more derogatory items on your credit report.
What if they don't want to buy a house, though? They just want to better their credit?
The same thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, now, hear people talk about this a lot, but if you have really good credit, is there a way, what are the ways that they could actually like utilize or monetize that to help people with bad credit?
What do you mean?
Like maybe like authorized users or...
So in a lot of cases, we use, like let's say husband and wife. The husband has really, really good credit, like 700 or 750, and they have really good utilization on their credit cards. What we do is if we're fixing the wife's credit and we know the husband has really good credit, then we ask him to put him as authorized users. Once you put yourself on as an authorized user on a credit card, your credit goes up really like a lot, especially if it's well utilized. So if you have, good utilization, you have, you maybe had that car for a couple years or 3 years. Once you put someone as an authorized user, their credit is going to shoot up. However,
unless they're still making late payments.
Right. So let's say a lot of clients, when they come, they're like, you know what, I'm just going to put myself as my friend's authorized user. I'm like, do you know how your friend is paying? Do you know how they're utilizing their credit? You're not going to call your friend and be like, yo, what are you utilizing your credit? You have to be careful because anything that person does is going to show up on your credit report, the good and the bad. And we have had many clients that come to us, and when we open up their credit report, there are 3 or 4 charge of accounts that they had no idea. And they're like, that wasn't even my card. And sure enough, when you see it, it's authorized user. And he's like, but I didn't even want to be authorized user. Well, too bad, so sad, because you were an authorized user. And whatever that individually owned person does is going to show up on your credit report.
Just with the card that they're authorized on, right?
Yes.
Is there a way to remove that? Because you technically didn't do it.
So the rounds of investigation will remove it. Well, I shouldn't say will. It will attempt to remove it, right? But it is your card because you're an authorized user on it.
Well, you can call the friend and say, hey, take me off as authorized user. And then
If it's still open.
Okay.
If it's still open.
So if it's closed down, then you're kind of stuck on there forever?
That sucks.
Oh, man.
Sometimes we've had situations, and it's really sad, but we had situations where we actually had to settle a car that was not even our client's. But he just wanted to buy. He's like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to do it and take the loss and just buy me a house. It was, a very small one, so it wasn't really bad, but
Still sucks.
you don't want to be paying someone's bills.
That's messed up.
And then now the other person is going to get the good...
The bump.
What would you what do you have to say on co-signing for someone for like a car or an apartment?
Don't do
or a house?
it. Don't do it. I don't like co-signing. We've seen so many stories. So we have taken care of over 4,000 people since we opened our doors.
Damn.
We work on about 120 to 130 files a month. We're very, very good at what we do, and we're very honest. And one of the things that we see all the time is the co-signing thing. Not only that it bothers your debt to income ratio because now it's your bill because you're the co-signer, but it also just kind of like if you're not paying that bill, you don't have control. You don't know what the other person is doing.
I've only done that once.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that car is already paid off.
Good. I've done it for my brother. Or my brother has done it for me. My husband, obviously, we have everything co-signed. But you have control because you know them. Like, hey, don't, and even then, sometimes your family, you don't.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't like co-signing. Sometimes it's needed. But if you're becoming a co-signer or if you're looking for a co-signer because you have bad credit, just fix it. Just take like 3 months. Fix it up and get your own thing. Because a lot of times they find co-signers because their credit is not good.
Right.
So if that's the case, just suck it up for a little bit, 3 to 4 months, and then you do it on your own.
Should tell your clients if anyone ever asks you to co-sign, just have them call me instead.
You know what I tell my clients? I always tell my clients, oh, I'm so sorry. Just, let them know that, your credit is just packed and you can't get anything else.
Just run. Oh, yeah. Or just run.
So you know what? My credit's actually worse than yours. I can't help
it. What's next for you guys?
I was talking to my husband this morning about that. So my goals for 2019 is so my team in Chicago, it's 4 girls. It's all girls. We're all girls. Girl power. Just kidding. So
both offices?
Yeah, both offices.
Nice.
So we have 4 girls in Chicago, and I want to use the same model for the other offices. So I want to build a team in Aurora. I only have 1 person working there, and myself. I'm growing the business in that area. Chicago's it's pretty good now, and we have our own manager in that office, so I don't have to really be in Chicago too much, so that I can get myself out to Aurora and really grow the business. So for 2019, I want to grow my team to 3 more, so 4 girls or boys or whatever, I don't care.
Probably girls.
Yeah, probably. And then I want to open up another office in Waukegan. That's my goal for 2019.
Why Aurora?
Hispanic clientele.
Hispanic
yeah, it's the second biggest city. We have a lot of opportunity in Aurora. There's a lot of lack of education, and we're very well received because we're so honest. Same thing with Waukegan. So my thought process when I started the company is I wanted to have a location in each county. So Cook County, Kane County, Lake County. So that's my goal. God willing, we will make it happen. But I think that if we can invest wisely in our employees and the product or service development and the research and all of that, I think that we can make it happen.
Nice. Well, yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Do you want to go into the questions?
What habits help make you successful?
Not sleep.
Not sleep.
What your shirt says, hustle.
Yep.
Totally. I think that's number 1. That's a habit. I think that waking up early, I pray in the morning. So that has a lot to do with my success. I do have to say that.
He wakes up at 10. What are you talking about?
So then I have to wear your shirt then.
She's talking about herself.
Yeah. So I think, I think that, having a good relationship with God and, putting all your goals and things and trusting him, I think that works a lot for me. And waking up early and just freaking work. Like, don't stop. Just keep going.
Team no sleep.
Team no sleep ever. You see this, black.
If you had one piece of advice to a business owner just starting out, what would it be?
Consistency. Total consistency. You can't just hustle one day and then the next day you don't do anything. You got to be consistent. If you know that you have something that is good and you know you can make it happen, you have to be consistent. So if your schedule is from 6 to 8, you're going to do 6 to 8 every day until you make it happen.
What is unique about your business?
Me, just kidding. My team.
Yeah.
My team and my programs. Very unique. Very unique. My girls work as hard as I do. Even more, I would say. So I think my team is what makes our company very unique.
What did your parents do?
What did they do?
Yeah.
When I was growing up?
Yeah.
For a living.
They were business owners. Yeah. My dad used to have a restaurant and my mom used to have an electronic shop in Colombia. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is your best hiring tip or secret?
Oof. Having
hiring girls.
Having a second person with me in the meetings. I'm not a good hirer, to be honest with you. I can't really read people too much. So I either have my husband. So I know that that's my weakness, right? So I'm going to have the strong person with me that day so that we can both kind of brainstorm. You know what I'm saying? You always have weaknesses. So.
Yeah. It's always good to have a second opinion of someone as well.
My husband is really good at reading people. So I can be like, hey, can you just be in the meeting? You don't have to talk. I'll do the questions and you just kind of read the person. Or Ermari. Ermari is my manager from Chicago. So she also helps me with that. Yeah. I think the hiring tip is I want my girls to work as hard as everybody else works. Not just my girls, but like any person that comes to a commission-based company, you have to be willing to put in the time to see the results later. You don't see the results right away. Yeah. So if you're the one that's just okay with the 9 to 5 or, a little check here and there, then you probably are not cut for this business. You have to be a hustler. You have to be a person that is willing to put in the time and only see results in 3 months. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Have you ever turned down a client and why?
Yes, I turned out a lot of clients.
How come?
And I actually kicked some clients out of my program.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't kick them. I just kicked them out of my program. I had a client that came in and he wanted to fix his credit. And there was a very recent repo that happened. And I knew that we weren't going to take it off with credit repair. Mm-hmm. Other credit repair companies would have been like, okay, I'll just put you on a monthly payment and then we'll see what happens. I knew that wasn't going to fall off because it was his. It was accurate, and it was very recent. So I told him, I said, look, we're going to do this, but we have to tackle that. And he refused to do it. So I said, then I don't want you. Right. I don't want you to jump in the program, pay $89 a month for that thing to stay there for 6, 8, 12 months. And you don't want that. So if you're not willing to do that, then we're not willing to go through with the program. And he decided he walked out.
And they didn't want to settle it either?
No.
Well, he didn't pay in the first place.
He just didn't want to do it. He was really mad. It was a lemon. It was a car that was really bad.
A lemon?
A lemon.
What is
That's
that?
what it's
called.
You
don't get it? It's like when you can't see inside a lemon, so someone could sell you like a car, and then it's like crap. And
it's
you don't know.
Crap.
Yeah.
And you start paying it and something breaks down, and then the other thing breaks down, and that's called like a lemon.
Oh, I'm like, that's like a brand or something?
No.
I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
So the problem with that is that clients don't want to, they're like, I'm not going to pay for this. Like, I don't want to pay for this. And
shouldn't have bought on the first place.
It's a money pit.
Yeah.
But yeah, why are you guys saying lemon? Just say money pit.
It's
okay, lemon.
It's a car term.
Yeah, it is. I used to be a car salesperson.
Yeah.
I never sold the lemon.
What is one thing that you find to be true that most people would disagree with?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Give me an example.
Like what's something that you believe in, but a lot of people are like naysayers about it?
Credit repair.
Credit repair wise.
Credit repair. I mean, bottom line, a lot of people don't trust in.
They just think it doesn't work? Or
Yeah, it doesn't
not
work.
working.
I had a client. It was a young girl. It was really easy to fix. And the dad did not let her fix her credit because he did not believe in credit repair. Like, have you read our reviews?
What was it? Do you remember what it was?
It was just credit repair. Like, just disputing items from her credit.
He didn't want it?
He didn't want her. He said, no, that's not true. They're going to take your money and they're not going to do anything. So I stand for what I do. I mean, I know that we do a great job, but a lot of people don't trust credit repair companies.
Yeah, I think it's just a scam and you're taking their money and their credit.
Well, most are.
It's understandable. Totally.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies out there that are taking people's money and they're not doing anything.
What's what do you wish you knew before you started your business?
The hiring was so hard.
Yeah.
But I still would have done it all over
turnover
again.
is just going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
What's the worst piece of advice that you ever got?
Don't do it. It's not going to work.
Don't open a business.
Don't open a business. You're not going to do well.
Who said that? Your coworkers?
No.
Friends, family?
Family.
Yeah.
That sounds like they're imposing their own self-doubts on you.
Fears.
Yeah.
The same thing when we wanted to buy a property.
What did it say? Don't buy it?
The 3 flat, well, you're going to be a landlord. What if people don't even pay you? And what if this and what if that? And then we turn around and these people are still renting. Like, you're giving me advice.
Were the people that giving you advice renting?
Yes. Exactly. But when you start up, when you're just starting.
It's like you don't even own a house where you're giving me advice on owning a house.
Exactly. That's what my husband and I were like, what the heck? It's people are still renting.
It's like people that are not married trying to give you marriage advice.
Hello.
That's
that's exactly what I'm saying. So what I want to tell people out there is if you are doing something, if you want to go and accomplish something, get advice from people that have done it and have been successful.
Yeah.
Just a 3 flat pays for itself. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? What if people don't pay you? Then you just take a loss and keep going.
But what if they do?
Yeah.
And then you buy 10 more of them.
A lot of, sadly, a lot of our family members are very negative. So, they're just going to come and tell you whatever, but you can't, you just can't. You have to keep going.
What's your favorite failure? Was there one that set you up for future success?
My favorite failure.
Or apparent failure. Maybe that was something that happened that kind of put you on this track.
Where you got punched in the mouth and then you came back from it?
Some partnerships. Maybe some partnerships that I built over the years. And that I thought were, good partnerships and I could do something really good with them. And then all of a sudden just kind of shut the door in my face. And then I noticed that it wasn't even worth it at the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe that, I wouldn't say failure. Sometimes it's just things that set you back, but then, you kind of notice that it was just best to do it that way.
Why do you do what you do? What gets you through the tough times?
I love what I do because I get to see tangible results. I get to see a house at the end or an apartment at the end or a 2 flat at the end. So we have a lot of people are really like, oh, I love helping people. But what are you doing? What are you helping? What are the results? So I love what I do because I get to see that. I get to see the process of having someone who has no credit or bad credit buy a house.
Yeah.
And then after that, purchase a car. And then after that, purchase a 2 flat and, whatever. So I love that. And when I go through the rough times, I think of that. I think of 4,000 people that we have helped in the past. I think of, a team of 6 people that we built, 2 offices. You always, every time that you have a hard time, just remember what you've built in the past and just, keep remembering that. This is something that I built. So.
You're actually changing people's lives for the better.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
So they can find us online. We have a Facebook page and we have a regular website. Credit-rx.com is our website. And then our Facebook is /CreditRx 2015. Same thing with Instagram.
For inquiries, do they call or do they go to the website?
They can call 773-647-1112. That's our office number. And they can also Facebook message us or contact us online.
Is it do you only take clients in Chicagoland or anywhere?
All over the place. All
Nationwide?
states. All states.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate you guys your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And that's it for another episode of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. One last thing before you head off though. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us your thoughts on iTunes. It would really mean a lot and help us reach more people. You can also find us on Facebook at Profits Over Wages Podcast, as well as on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time.